daily employee lunches, you name it. Whether you run a nonprofit or a company with offices nationwide, we've got you covered. Anywhere work happens, EasyCater has everything you need to make food for work, work. Order 24/7 at easycater.com.
Champion Exteriors, Champion, the one you call first. Voted best of the best in Jersey Shores. For roofing and siding, windows and doors. 24-month financing, no payments, no interest. Your certified GAF elite contractors. Champion-exteriors.com. Champion Exteriors, Champion, the one you call first.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They've got him! It's a sack!
Sixers.
Oh, baby!
And Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig.
It's good!
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
And he scored!
Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Josh Hennig.
Josh Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN FM. We're back for the weekend. And also on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Glad to have you guys on board the show today. A lot to get to. We'll try to get to as much as we can this hour. Sixers game 2. Tonight we will preview the game with Bryan Toporek, who covers the NBA with the NBA podcast, as well as Bleacher Report and Liberty Ballers. We'll get in touch with Bryan in less than 20 minutes from now. Plus, Phillies, another winning weekend. Turnbull, Wheeler, Nola. You throw in Ranger Suarez. Is that the 4 best pitchers on this team moving forward? We'll get into that this hour. Plus, your final opportunity to qualify for the Eagles trip to Baltimore contest, thanks to Phillies Sports Trips, coming up in about 55 minutes from now. Your final opportunity to qualify here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Today's the final day to qualify. Shout out to Michael from Summers Point and Dave from North Cape May. We're the latest qualifiers here on 97.3 ESPN. And of course, if you are a qualifier, you must be present this Thursday at Top Golf outside Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City in order to win the grand prize. Now, if you didn't qualify, remember, you can still join Mike Gill in the Sports Bash out at Top Golf at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. You don't have to just be a qualifier to win any prizes this Thursday. Or win the grand prize and the top tier prize, you must be a qualifier. You just go out to hang out, enjoy the day, watch the Phillies game, hang out with everyone. You still have a chance to win prizes as well. All right. Now that we got all the important stuff out of the way, let's get to the Sixers. Because, oh man, that game was very, very frustrating, okay? It was absolutely exasperating watching that game play out the way it did. And it's not just because the Sixers got out-rebounded 55-33. It's not just because the New York Knicks were on fire from three-point range and they had a lot of open threes as well. It wasn't just because Joel Embiid got injured. It was because those of us who watched the Sixers all year long, game in and game out, came into this postseason looking at the Sixers saying, this team has the supporting cast to help Joel Embiid get over the top. Watching that game, and I said this earlier to Mike Gill on the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN, watching that game last night, I got to tell you guys, on Saturday night, I didn't see a team that wanted to win. It felt like they were just trying to not lose. And anytime you walk in with that type of mentality, that means you are going to lose. It was incredibly frustrating to watch this Sixers team win the first quarter and the second quarter definitively, but play so poorly in the second and fourth quarters of that game. And anyone who watched Josh Hart play in college knows that this guy has got something clutch in his soul. That dude had 3 threes that just burned a hole inside of you every time he did it. And Jalen Brunson was limited in the game. And the Knicks did an amazing job at picking up for their teammate. It's what the Sixers didn't do on Saturday night. The New York Knicks saw that Jalen Brunson was having a rough night. The Sixers were hyper-focused on him, double-teaming him, even triple-teaming him at times. And you didn't get a big game in support from Dante DiVincenzo. But you had not one, but 2 guys coming off the bench who had big games for the Knicks. You had McBride go out there and hit the 5 threes. Bogdanovich came in and hit the 3 threes. And then you had Hart hit 3 of his 4 threes in the fourth quarter. You had the supporting cast of the Knicks step up huge for you. And by the way, Josh Hart, not the biggest man in the world, went out and hustled for 13 rebounds. Brunson himself got 7 rebounds. Robinson off the bench got 12. Bogdanovich got 7. Only 2 Sixer players had more than 7 rebounds on Saturday night, and one of them was Embiid, hobbling around and found a way to get 8 rebounds. You got outworked and out-hustled by a team that wanted to win more than you. The New York Knicks supporting cast did more to pick up their star player than the Sixers did. And Tyrese Maxey, look, did he have a great game? No. But he still gave you 33 points. Kyle Lowry, did he do something? Yeah, he had 4 threes in the game. But Harris, Oubre, Batum, Reed, Payne, and Hield, all who had playing time on Saturday night, didn't give it to you. And, while I was thrilled on Saturday night to be able to find a place that had both the Sixers and Phillies games next to each other on 2 screens, thanks to people at Crossroads Bar and Grill in Egg Harbor City for doing that. I got to tell you guys, I was so frustrated because I don't know what's worse. The fact that the Sixers could have and should have won the game on Saturday night, or that Richard Pinto almost imploded the entire Phillies game on Saturday night and gave it to one of the worst teams in baseball, the White Sox. It just utterly perplexed me that you have a situation where almost both of the teams blew the game, and the team with the least amount on the line found the way to win it, where the team with the most on the line didn't win it. And we can sit here and blame Joel Embiid, this and that for all one. We'll get to Embiid in just a moment. But teams win championships, not individuals. And if for 1 minute you think I'm going to sit here and blame everything on Embiid, I am not. Because I watched a New York Knicks team went out there and said, our guy is not having it tonight. Our main guy, Jalen Brunson, who, by the way, Brunson played 41 minutes on that game on Saturday night. Our guy, Brunson, is not getting the opportunity to have his game, to have his moments. The other guys stepped up. And if the Sixers are going to have any hope of winning this series, Tobias Harris needs to wake up. Kelly Oubre needs to step up. Batum needs to throw a few extra elbows. Paul Reed needs to play with a little more energy than he showed on Saturday night. Cam Payne has to do more than throw up 1 shot in 3 minutes. And Buddy Hield cannot go over when he's literally brought in the game for one reason. Now, I said to you guys on Friday here on 97.3 ESPN, Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Monday. We'll talk with Bryan Toporek from Liberty Ballers coming up in about 10 minutes from now. But I said to Mike Gill on the Sports Bash, and I said it here on Game Night, I thought KJ Martin should get playing time on Saturday, okay? And I said to Billy Schweim as well in the locker room here on 97.3 ESPN. I said to anyone who would listen to me, for whatever reason, Nick Nurse, a guy who is known to go 9-10 deep with his bench, with his roster, never got to Martin at all. Now, I don't know what the reason is. I don't know if they felt more comfortable with Harris out there, but it really felt like that was an opportunity to turn to Tobias like you did in the previous game and say, Tobias, you're not having a good game. Let's see if KJ Martin gives us something. I felt like KJ Martin could have gotten you a few more rebounds, a little more energy, a little bit more something out there. And frankly, the way the Knicks were driving to the basket at times without Joel Embiid on the floor, if Paul Reed is not going to challenge these guys, if Batum and Harris are not going to rotate down and help with the weak side defense when guys drive into the basket, I tell Mo Bamba just go out there and be a goon. All right, I would tell Mo Bamba, go out there, give me 5 fouls. Just hit everybody. Anyone drives to the basket, throw your body at them. You're disposable, Mo Bamba. Because at that point in the game, when the Knicks went on that run in the fourth quarter and when they went on that run in the second quarter, it felt like the Sixers had no hope and no energy. That's the perfect moment. You want energy out there. You tell KJ Martin, go be my Energizer Bunny. You go tell Mo Bamba, earn your paycheck and go bang into somebody. You pull Paul Reed aside and you say, Paul, I know it's the playoffs, but I need you to give me a little more energy. And you take Tobias Harris aside, say, Tobias, you guys show me something or I'm benching you. And I felt like this is where in the past we have blamed the head coach. And in this situation, I can't blame the head coach because the players weren't doing their job. Now, if they lose again tonight and some of those same issues happen tonight, then I'm blaming the head coach. But for right here, right now, I'm blaming the players. Let's squeeze some of your texts in here at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. George Summers Point chimes in and says, hey, Josh, I remember you saying last week after the Heat game that the Sixers have to do a better job defending a three-point line. They did not do that, obviously, in game one. Unless they change that for the rest of the series, they are not going to be successful against a Knicks team that shoots so many threes this well. That's from George in Summers Point. Well, George, I appreciate you listening and remembering I said that. You know, I was having this argument with people on Twitter, which I will fully admit that arguing with people on social media is not good for anyone's mental health, but I digress. I was trying to explain on social media that when a team shoots well from three, it's not just luck, okay? The New York Knicks hit 16 of 35. That's 45.7%. You're telling me the Sixers couldn't have stopped potentially 3 of those if they played maybe a little better perimeter defense, a little better rotation, a little better just get around the screen and get in front of somebody? I have to believe deep down in my soul that every level of basketball you are told, okay, whether you are a bench warmer like me, okay, or you are a star player at every level of basketball from grade school to high school to college to the NBA, you are told contest the shot, get in front of the shooter, put your hand in his face, don't let him get an easy look. You're telling me that if you would have slowed down one of the Josh Hart threes in the third, now obviously the one was such a wild shot, there was nothing you could have done about, but the other two, if you would have contested those, if Bogdanovich and McBride didn't have some open shots, you might have won the game. It's a good point by George in Summers Point. David and Violent chimes in at 609-403-0973. Says, Sixers remind me of a... Now, David, I need you to retext it in because I don't know what you're trying to say there, but I know what I'm going to read is not correct. So your voice to text hates you. I'm just letting you know. Autocorrect hates me too, buddy. but he says, it reminds me of the quote, we need guys that hate to lose. It's such a great point because David Violin brings up, do the Sixers players hate losing more than they love the benefits of winning? I always say, I'm not saying the Sixers are this at all, but I always say there are two types of players. There's the players who love the game, and there's the players who love what the game does for their bank account. Now, I don't think the Sixers have those guys. I have watched Maxey a couple of years now. I don't think he's that kind of player. I don't think Kyle Lowry is that kind of player. I don't think Nick Batum is that kind of player. I don't know enough about Oubre, and I don't know about Harris. I think Harris is somewhere between purgatory and, I don't know, 1 foot out the door mentally. I mean, that guy looks so disinterested. If you're an NBA team watching Tobias Harris this year, why on earth should you ever give that guy a free agent contract? Bryan Toporek joins us next. We'll get back to your text messages a little bit later in the hour. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, which is free thanks to First Bank, Sea Isle City.
Wake up weekday mornings with Unsportsmanlike with Evan Cohen, Chris Canty, and Michelle Smallman.
If I'm a Philadelphia 76er fan, I don't think there's any playoff loss that you should be okay with. I think the Philadelphia 76ers are that good. Embiid is just so big and dominant whenever he wants to be, and they're insanely well coached by Nick Nurse. I think they're awesome, and I would not be surprised if they went to the NBA Finals.
Unsportsmanlike with Evan Cohen, Chris Canty, and Michelle Smallman on 97.3 ESPN.
Save thousands at Matt Blatt Kia. Get out of your old trade today, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Go to mattblattkianj.com for more details. That's mattblattkianj.com.
It's gotta be a
Matt Blatt Kia.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that Febreze car.
Just right, just right, just right. Yeah. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah. Breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
With Spring Black Friday savings at the Home Depot, you can get up to $1,000 off select laundry appliances from top brands like LG, America's most reliable line of appliances. And with convenient shopping in-store and online, you can get new appliances with smart, intuitive features any way you want. Like a new LG wash combo all-in-one that can run a full load in under 2 hours. Right now, get $1,000 off select laundry appliances with Spring Black Friday savings in-store and online at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
It's time to relax and plan your next vacation. Spirit Airlines has non-stop flights to Myrtle Beach and your favorite Florida destinations, connecting you to the Caribbean, Latin America, and Mexico. American Airlines and Atlantic City International Airport have teamed up to provide another option to get you to that dream destination. Over 90 domestic and international destinations are now available from right here in South Jersey. Let ACY take the stress out of travel. Book your next adventure at acairport.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. A bottle of Chevron Techron Complete Fuel System Cleaner can help your engine get more MPGs. Right now, when you buy one bottle, you can get one bottle free. A great deal to help you go a great deal farther. Find Chevron Techron and everything you need for better fuel efficiency at any one of our 6,300 stores.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Walk right through the door. It's all here to explore. With guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Is your home ready for the heat of summer? Now is the best time to schedule that spring tune-up. Or is it really time to replace that old air conditioning system? Call Jenkins, the company local homeowners have trusted for 75 years. Take advantage of no-interest financing along with generous rebates. Additional financing and rebate offers may be available through your local utility company, too. Qualifications may apply. 609-641-6262. Online at jenkinsandsons.com.
Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, Chris Christopherson. Before they were legends, they were lost souls looking for their sound.
You want to be a songwriter? Not really. You are a songwriter.
Discover the true, untold story of Sue Brewer, the extraordinary woman behind outlaw country music, starring Mandy Moore and featuring T.J. Osborne.
They call it the Boar's Nest. It's just my apartment, but you never know who will show up.
In a new scripted Audible original.
Any advice?
Yeah, distill something whiskey can't.
The Boar's Nest, Sue Brewer and the birth of outlaw country music. Listen on Audible.
Kick off the Pro Football Draft with me, Mike Gill, at Top Golf Swing Suite in Ocean Casino Resort, Thursday, April 25th. I will be live on the Sports Bet from Top Golf Swing Suite starting at 2 p.m., discussing everything you need to know about this year's draft. During happy hour, gather your squad and come sit at the bar and enjoy a night full of football, drinks, and giveaways. The Sports Bet live at Top Golf Swing Suite in Ocean Casino Resort, Thursday, April 25th. Must be 21 or older, wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Sure, we'll check back on the text board at 609-403-0973 and your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. So, yeah, let's get to Bryan Toporek. Of course, you can check out his Sixers coverage over at Liberty Ballers. Also, he is the co-host of the NBA podcast, where you get all of your podcasting platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. There's so many different podcasts. Apparently, Google Podcasts is dead now, so I can't mention that anymore. Bryan, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Josh. How are you?
I'm doing good. We have people already texting in that tonight is the Tyrese Maxey flu game. Are you buying that?
I hope so. I mean, who knows? I didn't go into today thinking he was even questionable for tonight. So that was an unpleasant surprise this morning. Sounds like he is currently going through his pregame workout. It seems like both him and Embiid are game time decisions at the moment, although I'd be very, very surprised if both of them did not play. So fingers crossed, but I would also imagine we're going to see a little bit more campaign, a little bit more Kyle Lowry than we did in game one.
I said before you came on that, I thought the Knicks did an amazing job at stepping up for their superstar. Jalen Brunson did not have a great game on Saturday night. And it wasn't DiVincenzo. It was Josh Hart. It was McBride. It was Bogdanovich. It was the others, Whereas for the Sixers, Maxey had 33 points. Kyle Lowry did give you some three-pointers, but it felt like nobody else did anything. How do you explain, Bryan, a team that felt like they had such a good, strong, supporting cast go from something to nothing in such a quick period of time?
I mean, the simple answer and the honest answer is just variance. This is just what happens. Sometimes your stars carry you and sometimes your role players carry you. I mean, we saw it against Miami. Without Nick Batum, the Sixers would be at best the 8th seed and would be going against Boston right now. So maybe they got their role player game in the play-in game and the Knicks got theirs in game one. I would expect we'll see more out of the supporting cast tonight. Nick Nurse certainly implied that while he was talking to reporters yesterday. At this point, I don't know what to expect from Tobias Harris on a game-to-game basis, so I wouldn't go into tonight saying Tobias needs to have 18 points and 7 rebounds. I mean, he is just a complete wild card, which is not what you want to say about a $40 million player, but here we are. So I think, I'm looking more at Kelly Oubre, Nick Batum, who I just mentioned, had 20 points against Miami, back down to 3 against the Knicks in game one. Would imagine we see a little more campaign. Buddy Hield only played 11 minutes in game one, 0 of 2 from the field, 0 points. So I'm sure that, especially with Embiid questionable and now Maxey dealing with this illness, I'm sure the message all day to the Sixers has been, our stars might not be able to carry you guys tonight. You need to carry them.
Nick Nurse is considered one of the best coaches in the NBA. He's historically been known for not just being a really good coach, but also going deep into his bench, right? I don't understand why we saw no KJ Martin on Saturday night. Like, I feel like there were situations where I felt like Nurse was a little too loyal to some of the guys, where maybe he should have told Tobias Harris, maybe take 6 extra minutes off of your plate and put it on KJ Martin. Like maybe tell Mo Bamba, go out there and be a goon and just foul people for 5 minutes. Like I felt like there were things he could have done where it felt like he was just so like, I hate to say it, did Nick Nurse get like deer in the headlights on Saturday night?
I wouldn't go that far. I think both him and the Sixers did a lot of things right. I thought their half-court defense, by and large, was great. I thought their zone defense gave the Knicks a ton of trouble. It's a cop-out to say this, but Josh Hart just knocked down a couple of big threes late in the game, and you're daring a 30-ish% three-point shooter to make you pay. Like, you aren't going to be able to take away everything from any team in the playoffs, so you have to make concessions. And some of the concessions were, we do not want Jalen Brunson to beat us, so we are going to shade extra help in his direction, which resulted in Josh Hart being wide open for a couple threes. And to his credit, he knocked them down. But Nurse after the game said, I can live with those possessions. Like, we are just playing the odds here. So I wouldn't put that loss at the feet of Nick Nurse by any means. I hear what you're saying. Could you widen the rotation a little bit? Sure, but this is the playoffs. Like, typically rotations go the other way and coaches tighten their rotation, and you only see 7 or 8 guys, whereas you might have seen 9, 10, 11 during the regular season. So I can understand why people might want to see a little more KJ Martin, Ricky Council, especially now that he is eligible to play in the playoffs. But for those guys, it's going to be their first real taste of, like, especially Ricky, it's going to be his first playoff minutes. In a close, hard fought game that was really down to the final minutes, it just seems like a tough place to put him in. So I think you just need to ask more out of really Tobias Oubre in particular.
Talk with Bryan Toporek here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN at B Toporek on the Twitter X platform, co-host of the NBA podcast, also contributor for Liberty Ballers, joining us here. Bryan, you mentioned about the defense that they ran out on Saturday night. We know that the NBA playoffs are a match of chess. It's like your move, my move. So what do you think the Knicks will do differently tonight that the Sixers will have to adjust to?
Yeah, it's hard to say because usually the team that wins doesn't have to make as many adjustments as the team that loses. So I'm sure the Knicks will adjust to some extent, but I think the Sixers will probably make the bigger adjustments of the two. Batum was hinting that they figured out something yesterday, and he wasn't willing to give away what that was. So we'll have to see. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Embiid on Josh Hart more. Maybe they single cover Brunson more than they did and decide, what, we can live with you beating us. We just don't want to have these 3-point shooters going off in Bogdanovich, McBride, and Josh Hart for game 1 at least. From the Knicks perspective, I think they're going to try to do a lot in terms of how they defended Embiid. If they can get away with just one guy on him, whether it's Isaiah Hartenstein or Mitchell Robinson, that's just going to put their defense in such an advantageous position. I'd imagine they're going to devote more attention to Maxey, who really got going in the second half and very well could have stolen game 1 from them on their home floor. So knowing that Embiid, honestly, they might just have to see how he looks when the game starts, because Embiid early in that game, before the dunk and the knee injury scare, was so dominant that you had to devote all of your defensive attention to him. And then, in the second half, just didn't seem to have as much lift as he did previously. So maybe they just wait and see, how does Tyrese Maxey look with his illness tonight? How does Joel Embiid look coming off of the knee scare? And then once you figure out which one of those two are more likely to bury you, that's where you shade your extra defensive help.
Right, exactly. You have to determine as you kind of go along with some of this. Speaking of Embiid, Bryan, I wanted to get your reaction to something, because I know a lot of people probably watched the game on the local broadcast because people saw 6 o'clock come around and they flipped over to NBC because it wasn't on ESPN because the Timberwolves were too busy crushing the soul of the Suns on Saturday for the Sixers game. But coming out of halftime, Lisa Salters gave this report about Embiid. And for those who might not have heard this, I want you, Bryan, to give your reaction, because I think the point she brings up about Joel Embiid, I think it should be brought into the conversation about him and his knee.
Something that Joel said to me on Wednesday before that game with the Heat. He told me that he was still trying to get back to trusting his surgically repaired left knee, that he was freaked out when he tweaked it 8 days ago against Orlando. Said he's got to realize that when something like that happens, and it will, like it did tonight, that he's going to feel something in the knee. And he says it's okay, the knee is fine, but he said he's still convincing himself that he can fully trust himself on the floor, and that's where the mental part of it comes in.
Talk about that, Bryan.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very real part of the comeback, and especially for a guy like Embiid, who's had so many lower body injuries, knee injuries in the past. It's human nature to not fully trust the knee. I mean, how many times have we heard athletes say that the last hurdle to clear is the mental part? So he is, I mean, we don't know anything because the Sixers won't give us any details, but based on what we could put together, he had a meniscectomy. The typical timeline to recover from that is 6 to 8 weeks. He is well clear of 8 weeks, so he should be healed from the surgery. But I think it makes total sense, especially going against a team like the Knicks, who are so physical. Yeah, I mean, how wouldn't you be skeptical anytime you feel something in that knee when you 3 months ago were on the floor and out for the next 2 months as a result?
It just gets back to the whole, at some point, it's not just Joel, right? I know fans are frustrated, right? I know that, I've even made the comparison, to me, Joel is the modern day Bill Walton. He's a guy that if he's healthy, he's amazing. If he's not healthy, well, you're doomed, right? But still, no team wins with one player. Even LeBron couldn't win by himself. We saw him get swept by the Spurs in the finals over a decade plus ago, So when you think about the Sixers, how much of this is Joel and how much of this is the rest of the guys?
I mean, Daryl Morey has said he built the team around Joel Embiid, and I've seen a lot of people kind of criticizing the roster construction, but if Joel Embiid's not playing, the Sixers aren't going anywhere. It is as simple as that. To accomplish their goals of, A, just making the conference finals, but B, winning a championship, you need Joel Embiid on the floor. Ideally at 100% or close to 100%. I don't know if we're going to get that at any point in this playoff run. So whatever form you can get of him, even as physically compromised as he looked on the second half of that game on Saturday, I mean, I'm looking at cleaning the glass right now. The Knicks had 76.5 points per 100 plays in the half court. That is in the 11th percentile league-wide this season. I mean, their defense, despite Embiid not being himself, was still elite. So, I understand the frustration that fans feel. It feels like Groundhog Day every year. We get to the playoffs, Embiid gets hurt. He's not himself. They lose before they should. Is history repeating itself here? Potentially, but what's the alternative? Trade Embiid for who? Who is going to give you a better shot? When this guy is healthy, he won the MVP last year. He was even better this year before he got injured. I mean, had he played 65 games, he's probably back-to-back MVP right now. And those guys, unfortunately, just don't grow on trees. So, I could understand wanting to look ahead and try to figure out, okay, how can they get over this second round hump? And it's a very fair question. Can you ever trust Joel Embiid to make it through an 82 game season and a full 16 game playoff run or 2 month playoff run, 16 wins? I don't know the answer to that question. And so far the answer is no. But, is it better to just keep gambling and hope you finally do get that healthy playoff run, or do you look to move him? I think Daryl Morey is going to do the former. He's said he's willing to gamble on health when the upside is what Joel Embiid has. And I think Sixers fans, as frustrating as it might be at times, you have to realize when this guy is on, there is no one else in the NBA like him.
Bryan Toporek joining us, co-host of the NBA podcast, also contributor for Liberty Ballers here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Bryan, before I let you go, a couple quick hits on the other games around the NBA playoffs. Is there any part of anyone that should say maybe the Sixers should have traded for Damian Lillard for Maxey for Lillard, way Lillard played this weekend?
Absolutely not. No. I mean, kudos to Dame. Had an awesome game one. Was inconsistent all season. Is much older than Tyrese Maxey. Like, if you think, anyone out there who's like questioning the future of the Sixers currently, I promise you it would have been much more bleak had they traded Tyrese Maxey for Damian Lillard. So, with all due respect to Dame, incredible player, but their trajectories are basically moving in opposite directions at this point in their career.
Bryan, I picked the Timberwolves to beat the Suns in this round. I never thought they would destroy the Suns' soul in game one. I mean, you had Ant, just chirping away at Durant. The Suns looked like they had no gas in them. I mean, what happened in that game? I felt like I'm watching it. I'm like, they just kept pulling away, and they had no answer at all for the Timberwolves.
Yeah, the Wolves, I think, just had a really good defensive strategy of putting Jaden McDaniels on Devin Booker, and that really did not allow Devin Booker to get going. I think the Suns are at their most dangerous when it's both KD and Booker cooking. So KD got his, but Book didn't get his. Bradley Beal didn't step up in the absence of Book. And really, I mean, this is the difficulty of building around three high usage stars, and especially, moving forward, just three stars on max contracts in general. They had to go pretty cheap with their supporting cast. So, I think Minnesota also got contributions up and down the roster. I mean, Nickeil Alexander-Walker was a huge piece in that game one win. But, the answer to how you beat Minnesota, they had the best defense in the league this year, but we're not very good at defending the mid-range. The Suns are elite in the mid-range. So both teams knew that was the key to the series. If the Suns get going from the mid-range, Suns are probably going to win the series. If the Timberwolves can force them off their preferred shot selection, Timberwolves are going to have a really good shot.
By the way, McDaniel is voted one of the best defenders in the NBA by the Athletic Players Poll that came out today. So keep that in mind. Players around the league know he's good too. It's not just us finding out for the first time in the playoffs.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I was going to say, so next thing I want to hit on is Cavs Magic. So for all the people who said the Cavs are losers because of the way they ended the season, are those people put to bed, or was it just a bad game one for the Magic?
A little bit of both. I mean, the Magic are not a good offensive team. I think they were 22nd in the league this year in offensive rating during the regular season. So this is going to be most likely a low-scoring, typical Eastern Conference slugfest. I mean, Jared Allen has been sensational all year. Carried that right over to game one. Evan Mobley, 2 big threes in that game. And that's really been the key since he's come back from the injury, is he's been taking more three-pointers. Still not a super high volume, but more than he was previously. And, Jared Allen is just a strictly around the rim or around the basket player. I mean, he's not going to typically take 15, 20-foot jump shots or hit all that many of them when he does. So for that pairing to work, one of those two guys has to shoot from range. I thought Evan Mobley showed that off. And I mean, they just also completely own the glass. So it was a really impressive performance, I thought, from Cleveland. But I wouldn't be shocked if moving forward, I think Orlando is probably in a similar spot going into game two as Philly, where it's like, all right, our 2 stars really carried the load here, but we did not get much help from the supporting cast. We need, whether it's Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony, Jonathan Isaac, who started as their starting center. Like, we need you guys to chip in a little bit more offensively than you did in game one.
I got to admit, I was shocked the Clippers won game one without Kawhi. I never saw that coming, Bryan. I thought no Kawhi meant the end for the Clippers. And all of a sudden, Harden and Westbrook turned the clock back to the OKC days, and they found a way to win. I mean, I'm not saying the series is over because it's 1-up, but I mean, I thought this was the opportunity for the Mavs to like take control of the series, and they couldn't do it.
I was equally as wrong as you. I definitely did not see that coming. Yeah, I mean, the Clippers had a week off, so James Harden, we've seen it before. We saw it last year where he had a lot of time off, had a really good game one. As the series goes on, it starts to fade a little bit. So I hope for the Clippers' sake that he can continue having that level of performance. I would like to see it again before I'm ready to crown him as, oh, okay, vintage James Harden is back. I think there's been a lot of overreaction to, frankly, a lot of the older players around the league. Damian Lillard's the same way. Like, let's see these guys do it over and over again now that we don't have a week off before games. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I thought the biggest factor in that game was Zubac. He just completely destroyed the Mavs bigs, and they fueled this run that they went on at the end of the regular season with PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford. I mean, Daniel Gafford had no chance against Zubac. Picked up 2 early fouls and just got annihilated. So that's the big thing going into the game too. You know what you're getting out of Paul George. James Harden, even if he doesn't score like he does or knock down the 3 like he did in game one, he's going to be a high-level playmaker. And if he can get that pick and roll working with Zubac, the Clippers or the Mavericks really need to figure out a way to slow that down.
Call more for Bryan Toporek before we let him go. I'm going to bundle, like one of those insurance companies, I'm going to bundle a couple series together here, Bryan.
Okay.
So between the Heat, the Pelicans, and the Lakers, who of those 3 has the best chance to actually win any games in their series, and why?
Pelicans by a mile, I would say. The Heat, I mean, it just seems like Jimmy Butler's likely to miss this entire series, and I just don't think they have the firepower to keep up with Boston, unfortunately. Boston, it's a math problem. They just shoot so many threes, and the Heat, therein lies the problem with the zone, right? The Heat typically go to the zone to junk things up, but the Celtics are the best, or one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the NBA. So it's a lot harder to go to the zone against them. Lakers, I mean, it's 9 straight losses to the Nuggets now. And that first half went about as perfectly as it could have the other night. They get up early, double digits. Aaron Gordon has 2 fouls. And just for whatever reason, man, the Nuggets have their number. We'll see if D'Angelo Russell plays better in game 2. The Nuggets have been a bugaboo for him over the past year. So you never want to rule out LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Wouldn't shock me if they steal 1 game in this series, but I'd be pretty surprised if it goes even to 6, honestly. But I mean, Pelicans Thunder, that game went down to the buzzer last night. The one thing with OKC, like, they're really impressive. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is incredible. Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren had an awesome season, but they do not have a lot of interior heft. So Jonas Valanciunas, I thought that was honestly the big swing factor of that game or of that series. Willie Green, the Pelicans head coach, has often pivoted away and gone small ball with Larry Nance Jr., but he's stuck with the big ball. Jonas Valanciunas played 29 minutes, 13 points, 20 rebounds, including 9 offensive rebounds. The Pelicans out-rebounded the Thunder 52-44. So if they can stick with that, if the Thunder can't play Jonas Valanciunas off the floor, I mean, the Pelicans, it's still going to be an uphill battle for them without Zion, but I think they're at least live to stretch this thing to 6.
All right, Bryan, before I let you go, are you as excited as me after watching the Deadpool Wolverine trailer today?
Yes, honestly, I am, my brain is mostly on the NFL draft right now. So that was a nice diversion from what is coming this week.
I mean, I didn't even know there was a trailer coming out today until late last night. I saw Hugh Jackman put out that post on Instagram where he said, "I'm not a very patient person. Is this trailer dropping tomorrow?" And honestly, I feel like, and I'm not to get too far away from sports, but kind of like sports, it's like, you know how you see a matchup like a Suns Wolves, and like you have an idea how it's going to be, and then something happens like game 1 and it totally changes your perspective on the series. Like watching these 2 trailers, my expectations for this movie went from, I'm excited to see it, to holy Toledo Batman. I can't wait for this movie because it looks absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's like can I buy the midnight showing tickets now? Is it too
No,
early?
right? What is that, Futurama, take my money?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
For those who haven't seen it, if you care at all about any of the Deadpool movies, superhero movies, this is going to be beyond anything you've ever seen. This is going to be absolutely bonkers. I mean, the fact that they're not even using the same type of Wolverine as the movies originally, and they're leaning into that, like, this is not regular Wolverine. This is a different. I think that's the real reason why Hugh Jackman agreed to do it, Brian, is because he agreed to do something different than he's ever done.
Yeah. Well, also, I mean, him and Ryan Reynolds have been flirting with this idea for years, so it's just really cool from that standpoint to see it come to fruition. But yeah, the first Deadpool was one of the most pleasant surprises of any superhero movie of the last 10 years. So I think those two together, I'm very excited. I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I was telling Mike Gill earlier today, I said, you don't have to be a superhero fan to understand the humor in these movies. Yeah. Like the humor is just so dark at times. And it's so, I always describe it as if the people who made The Hangover and Superbad made a superhero movie, it would be the Deadpool movies, right?
Yeah. I think that's a good assessment of, Deadpool 2 has been on TV a lot lately, so I catch bits of it here and there. And, I think I preferred the first one, but the second one still had some great moments, especially when, he assembles the team together and they go on their mission. And I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but the mission does not go as planned.
No, mission not successful. Mission impossible, literally. Although I will say, I wish I don't know who owns the streaming rights to it, but I wish they would stop burying the Once Upon a Deadpool version of Deadpool 2, because the fact that they made a PG-13 version of the movie with him telling the story as it's a Christmas story is absolutely hilarious, and I wish it would get more airplay.
I don't even think I've seen it. Don't get me started on streaming.
Brian, you gotta look it up. Once Upon a Deadpool.
Okay, all right. When good to know.
Well, maybe when the NFL draft is over, when the NBA Sixers are done on Sunday, you can pull it up on a streaming service or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say talk to me July 5th after the Sixers are done all their free agency stuff. I get to rest for a month. I'm adding it to the queue.
Well, I think Deadpool Wolverine comes out before then. So what are you going to do about that? You just going to take one day not to care?
I'm taking the L there, I think, unfortunately.
He's Bryan Toporek at Toporek on the Twitter X platform. Of course, Sixers and Knicks game 2 tonight. Tom McGinnis on the call right here on 97.3 ESPN. Brian, great stuff today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, as always.
Absolutely. All right, we'll wrap up the show coming up with your guys' text on the other side, 609-403-0973, and your final opportunity to qualify for the Eagles, the Baltimore, and the Eagles draft party. Thanks to Phillies Sports Trips coming up in about 6 minutes from now.
It's Sixers-Knicks Game 2 tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Kyle Lowry with it. 2 minutes to go. 6 to shoot. Lowry fires for 3, and that's good. Lowry delivers his biggest shot as a Sixer.
It's Sixers playoff basketball on South Jersey's official home for the 76ers. 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7 p.m.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
If you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released. Matt Blatt Nissan.com. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential. But finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Business. It's all the things that keep this world turning. And behind every one of these companies is a partner helping to keep it all moving. It's why the local flower shop and your favorite pizza joint, the startup and the stadium, hospitals and hotels, banks and restaurants nationwide all choose the advanced network, cybersecurity solutions, and round-the-clock trusted partnership from Comcast Business, the company that powers more businesses than anyone else. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
See why Comcast Business powers more small businesses than anyone else. Get started with fast speeds and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 1-year contract. Plus, ask how to get up to an $800 prepaid card with a qualifying gig bundle. Don't wait. Call 1-800-501-6000 or go online to ComcastBusiness.com to switch today. Ends 5/6/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 50 megabits per second internet and security edge. EcoBill and autopay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Walk right through the door. It's all here to explore. With guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Drink responsibly, B21. The IRS is the most powerful collection agency on earth. And if you owe back taxes, the news isn't good. The IRS is raising the interest rate it charges on unpaid taxes, and further rate hikes are expected. Most people don't know it, but the IRS adds interest charges on your tax debt daily. So if you owe the IRS today, you will owe even more tomorrow. And it doesn't stop until you get right with the IRS. The good news is getting right can start with one phone call to Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm. Optima's tax professionals specialize in the Fresh Start Initiative, a powerful IRS program that can save you thousands if you qualify. In fact, the experts at Optima Tax have resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-480-6932. That's 800-480-6932. 800-480-6932.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey, it's Mike Gill. As you know, we talk a lot about player performance on this show. But you know what else performs really well? The 2024 Acura Integra. And now through April 30th, my friend Rocco at Key Acura of Atlantic City can get you into one for $379 a month with just $29.95 down. That includes tax tags, doc fees, everything. Go see Rocco at Key Acura, Chilton Road, EHT, the small but friendly dealer with convenient Saturday service hours. Visit KeyAcuraOfAtlanticCity.com. See dealer for details.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Before we hear the sounder for your opportunity, a final opportunity for you to qualify for the Eagles draft party contest, for your chance to go to Baltimore to see the Eagles play the Ravens thanks to Phillies Sports Trips. We do have the news. Keith Pompey, his report came out first. Others have confirmed it. Tyrese Maxey is good to go for tonight's game. He is expected to play. Also, do we read anything into Joel Embiid showing up in an all-black outfit with blacked-out sunglasses? Do we take this opportunity to? Is he Johnny Cash? Is he mourning his lost childhood? Like what's going on there? Do we read anything into that? Just saying. Also, for those who didn't hear, Bryce Harper's on paternity leave. He will be back on Thursday, is expected to be. Also, tonight will be Cody Clemens playing first base for the Phillies. Nick Castellanos is still in the lineup. He had one good game on Saturday, offers yesterday and Friday. So, Phillies are still being stupid, but they are with the best pitching staff in baseball, and Turnbull is part of it. So why bring back Taijuan Walker? I'm just saying. All right, you heard the sounder. Today is the final day for you to qualify for the Eagles Draft Party Contest. Call 609-573-3776. Callers 6 and 7, you are the final qualifiers for the Eagles Trip to Baltimore contest. Thanks to Philly Sports Trips, where you and a friend will get to go to Baltimore for the Eagles and the Ravens. Only the way Philly Sports Trips, they do it better than anyone else. And of course, you must be present this Thursday at Top Golf at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City for the Eagles Draft Party with Mike Gill and the Sports Bash. 609-573-3776. Callers 6 and 7. You are the final qualifiers for the Eagles Draft Party Contest. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. Sixers pregame show coming up next on ESPN Radio.
Kick off the Pro Football Draft with me, Mike Gill, at Top Golf Swing Suite in Ocean Casino Resort, Thursday, April 25th. I will be live on the Sports Bet from Top Golf Swing Suite starting at 2 p.m., discussing everything you need to know about this year's draft. During happy hour, gather your squad and come sit at the bar and enjoy a night full of football, drinks, and giveaways. The Sports Bet live at Top Golf Swing Suite in Ocean Casino Resort, Thursday, April 25th. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.